Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Memis, and I am joined by Doane, president of Ithaca College ESports Club, and Hideo Schwartz, the game chair for the League of Legends team, an interview I'm very excited about. So, guys, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm tired from work, but I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. Excited for this. So, I guess the first thing, it's been a weird summer,
Yeah.
obviously. So I guess how has the Ithaca College Esports Club adjusted? I know you guys made a League of Legends team, and I'm sure you've done other stuff, and it's going to be also weird in the fall. So how has everything changed due to COVID?
So for us, interestingly enough, it actually didn't change our club really at all. Because before COVID started, we still primarily did everything we did online and through our Discord that we have. And once we went to remote learning, it basically just went the same as it was before, except we had a lot more people join because they didn't have any other clubs to join and have fun in. And we kind of just became like a hub for anybody who was like looking to do stuff and find people to play games with during the second half of spring semester. So it's actually pretty interesting for us. Yeah.
As far as I know, I think I can only remember there being one in-person event where we played League of Legends, and so it's already an online game anyway. It's not like Smash where you have to be there, so it's very easy to set up online. And we just done a lot of like tournaments within the group, and then we were signing up our teams. So our IC Blue team and our IC Gold team, both of them are signed up for tournaments to be playing in. The Gold team is in a bit of a right now, but Blue right now is in the Prophecy Cup tournament, competing with other high-level teams.
And that tournament, is that in League of Legends or is that in another game?
League of Legends, yeah.
Okay. So I guess because of all these people joining, how big is now, at least the Discord for the Ithaca College, for the esports club? How big, how many members?
We have, I think, a little bit over 200 people in our Discord. There's a couple people who are friends of people who go to IC, and there's some alumni. So we roughly estimate that we have around 120 to 150 students that are in the Discord and a part of the club. And and it grew from I think about like 50 to 6 from like 50, 60 all the way to around 200 like during the second half of the spring semester.
Okay. And so a League of Legends team, it's what I've been told is basically you've never been in the same room together since you've been made. So I guess how was this all created? How was this League of Legends team created?
All right, I guess I'll start then. So if I remember correctly, they were going to have tryouts. They wanted to have tryouts to make two teams, like the high tier team and like the sort of lower ranked team. And I guess, Ross, did you approach me or was it somebody else?
Yeah, so I think I approached you during like I think sometime in January or February about it with the times and date for our tryout, which was going to be, I think it was going to be like right after spring break in person, but then we ended up shifting it to online, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were planning to have a team for like our highly competitive players, and then we were planning to have like a team where people could learn together and kind of like an academy team where people would grow and learn the game in a competitive environment. And yeah, and we had tryouts.
Yeah, so me and a few of my other friends who are like very high ranked in the game, we would watch these, we would just make teams of different people who want to apply and watch how they play together. We would assess how they played, how they communicated, and we picked the 5 best candidates for both teams out of that.
All right. And so I've watched a little bit of League of Legends, but to the casual viewer and some who may have never played that game, what is the League of Legends game about, and also how does it work when you're doing competition of that game?
Oh, wow. So League of Legends is a MOBA, which stands for Massive Online Battle Arena, I believe. Or no, Multiplayer Online Battle
I think it might be multiplayer.
Multiplayer, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of MMOs. But It's to anyone who hasn't played a MOBA before, it's very intimidating to look at. Sorry, phone's getting a call. Like an FPS, you look at it, you can tell what's going on exactly because you can see the person's view and they're holding whatever weapon is in their hands. And it's very, very simple. With a MOBA, you see the character from a third person's perspective, but not like the usual third person where it's from behind. It's more like above. And like the simplest way of putting it is like you have to think of yourself as like a god controlling this one little character. And there'll be 5 characters per team. Each one has a certain set of abilities that they can do. And you have to know about where to move your character, what ability to use, when. And there's so many strategic things that you have to keep in mind at all times. There's a mini map that tells you where everybody is on the map because everyone plays on the same map called Summoner's Rift. And so you have to always be looking at that. You have to worry about how much gold you're getting because you have to get gold through killing the enemy or through killing neutral monsters that are scattered across the map. And with that gold, you can buy items to make your character stronger. What else? There's many different types of characters. You have people who play tanks who are very healthy but don't do a lot of damage. You have what's known as ADC or attack damage carry. So they're very they don't have a lot of health, but they do a lot of damage. And they take some sort of time to ramp up and really get to their power spike, which means like they'll get stronger as the game goes on. Then you also have assassins, mages, and like the list goes on, and they're like hybrids between 2 classes. It's a very, very complicated game. It takes years to get into, but once you sort of get the hang of it, it feels great. It feels like breathing.
Yeah, I always like to compare it to basketball, where you have 5 players. Each player has like their set role that they're meant to be doing. You'd have like the player, and they'd work together and coordinate to play against the other 5 players. Except in this case, instead of scoring baskets, the job is to team fight and kill the other team, and then ultimately destroy their base, which is like a thing that you'd just be attacking after like a range of obstacles you'd have to go through. And it's really interesting in competitive play because it has so much intricacies in how like a team plays together, because people have like their own play styles, and when you're forming a team, you have to like know what your team likes to play and kind of create your own identity around it and draft like things that are specific to what makes you win. It takes a lot of practice to become good at, especially when you're working as a team for the first time. And I know, Hideo, you've sit in on a lot of practices with our blue team, and you know that they've like they kind of like found their identity and stuff over time, and have like decided and like figured out like their very specific way of drafting, and it's like very, very intricate and takes a long time.
They spend a lot of time picking strategies and seeing what works best for them, seeing which team composition of characters are like work best, and whether it's hard to explain it without using in-game technology, which would just make it more, if that makes sense. But they're always trying to come up with ways that would give them a huge advantage over the enemy with like minimal risk, or maybe doing something that the enemy would never expect to do or expect them to do, and that would give them the advantage there.
Yeah, because like that's, since it's an esport, the primary way you win as a team is through mind games and strategy. You have mechanics, which is like how well you can press your buttons and how accurate you can be in hitting your buttons and your reaction time. But a lot of the times for League of Legends and for esports in general, it really just comes down to like how well you can out strategize your opponent, which makes it really interesting to see kind of like where how players just kind of outthink and outplay other people.
Gotcha. And how you said you've entered a few tournaments, or at least the blue team has a gold team on their way. So how has the blue team done so far in the tournaments that they've played?
So the last tournament we played in was in the Prophecy Cup, the season before. The way the Prophecy Cup works is that it goes in seasons, and so we participated in season 10, which was like right after spring break. And we got pretty far. The team got all the way up to the semifinals in the winners bracket, which is really impressive. There were 20 teams, and the organizers would usually send out like sort of like a what's the word? Sort of like a guest placement as to where the team would go, and we were ranked pretty far down. And then from there, the team just sort of shone, and they really worked together, and they weren't as high of ranks as the other players, so the other teams were made of better players, but they didn't have the teamwork that IC Gold or IC Blue did. And because of that, IC Blue had managed to make it all the way to the semifinals, which was a great run. And now we're in season 11 of the Prophecy Cup, and they ranked us at number 4 out of 20 instead of 14, which is where we were before. As of right now, those are the only 2 like tournaments that we've been in that didn't require, like, all the other tournaments usually require a buy-in, and funds, don't make themselves. So we stick with the free tournaments for now. We have scrimmed other schools before. The Polytech Institute of Virginia?
Virginia? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't know how I confused those 2, but those are the 2 states that are popping in my head. We scrimmed Kettering University, so many of them. But yeah, that's basically how we got practicing, was that we would look for teams to practice against, other universities. I'm part of the official League of Legends college Discord, which is made up of all the officers of people who run their League of Legends clubs, and people will always be looking for scrims, looking for teams to practice against. And so through there, we can compete with other schools, not for anything, but just to get better.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that the schools you're scrimmaging, they're pretty far away. So in these tournaments, are these schools all across the country? Are they in other countries as well? So tell me kind of where the geographical location of most of these schools are.
Well, the Prophecy Cup, that's a completely amateur league, so you don't have to be part of a school to sign up for it. You can just make your own team, and that's all based in the Northeastern, I believe. As for the official League of Legends college Discord, that's all over the country. And actually, the purpose of both these teams, the IC Gold and the IC Blue team, were to compete in something called University League of Legends, which is hosted by Riot Games, the people who made the game. And they have their own college league, just like college league basketball, college league baseball, they have college league League of Legends. And that's originally what these teams were meant for. And that's going to happen later in the year, I believe. Sometime in October. I have to double check the schedule, but that's the main goal as of right now. And that's for competing all across the country.
So are there any plans to make additional League of Legends teams, or even a team for another video game? Counter-Strike, Smash, whatever game it is.
Yeah. So right now we have the 2 League of Legends teams. Those are only 2 officially formed PC games, team games that we have. We have a very strong Smash Bros. And fighting game community already. And we have a lot of players who are really good and do place really high at all the local tournaments that we have, which is why we host a bunch of Smash Bros. Tournaments generally through the year. We actually hosted our first fully online tournament just a couple weeks ago, which we got around 50 people to enter from schools all over the New York State, and that was really fun. And outside of those 2, we're still trying to form other games. I know right now we're working on forming an Overwatch team as well as a Valorant team, which is a new first-person shooter game made by the same people who made League of Legends, which has become really popular really fast. And we're always on the lookout for like as soon as we have people who are interested in forming a team, and if we have enough people, we give the go ahead and they form it, and we create our team captains. We're really open to any teams and any players for any games, really. And even for League of Legends, while we only have the 2 teams right now, we're always open to having, if 5 more people are here and they want to play competitively, they can form another team, an IC team or something, just because we just want to provide an opportunities for IC students to be able to learn and like play games competitively if they want.
Now, when I've watched any esports on TV, the competitors are in the same room, however many it is. So I guess both of you could speak to this. What are the challenges of playing together a game remotely, even if it is a PC game where it would be online anyway?
The problem with playing remotely is that everyone's relying on their own internet, and not everyone across the country obviously has the same internet speed. And so you might have somebody with really good internet playing on the same team with somebody with really bad internet, and because that creates lag between the two, they won't be able to communicate and work together as well. Whereas if they're playing in the same room, they're working off the same internet, and so they can be a lot more in sync with each other. But also, when you're playing together in the same room, generally that also means the other team is playing in the same room. And that gets a little harder to work with when it comes to managing communications, because you don't want the enemy team to hear what you're saying. And so the advantage of doing it online is that you can have a completely separate Discord call or Skype call or whatever you use, and there's no way the enemy can hear what you're talking and what you're strategizing about.
Yeah. And also, I always find when it's online games, there's a comfort level that players have when they're playing at their own setups that they're used to practicing on, which can be a good thing and a bad thing, because for one, you're comfortable, you can wear what you want. But when you're going to like a LAN tournament and you're like, let's say you're on stage and you're playing against people with in person, it kind of like ups the stakes, and it makes it feel like it gives you like the feeling of how like real this competition is, and makes you feel like a lot more pumped. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for both ways. There's advantages, disadvantages. I always say like playing in person is a really good experience that we really want to someday be able to bring back whenever we can, whenever it's safe to do so. But yeah, there's some problems with playing online, but for the most part, we can do it pretty smoothly.
Understood. And you guys mentioned lag. So how is any like disconnections during a competition? How is that handled? Is it the game redone? Is there AI or a computer that substitutes for them? Like, how would that work?
So League of Legends has a function where if you play in a tournament game, you can, if say anyone on your team disconnects or is like lagging, you hit /pause, I believe, and it will pause the game for both teams. You know, you always tell your mom you can't pause multiplayer, but in this case you can. And so there's like a limited amount of time that you have to pause the game. Like a clock will count down from usually 30 minutes, but some tournaments would be like you can only use 15 or 10 of those minutes until you're disqualified. We've had issues in the past where we have had to pause the game because someone was lagging or disconnected. But because we could pause the game and let the other team know, you can still type to them. You can let them know what's going on. You can tell them that one of our players is having internet problems. They'll be like, okay, we understand. And then you'll just wait until they come back.
Because you said there's a certain amount of time, and that's a lot of minutes. That's a good amount of minutes, at least compared to games I've played. Have teams use that also to try to do a timeout or something like that? Maybe even if they lie about a disconnection and let's say use 3 of those minutes to strategize because maybe they're losing the game?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure what happens when the clock fully runs out because I've never seen that happen before. From the games I've watched, no one really talks about strategy or pauses to talk about strategy, because you can do that while you're playing the game. Because there are points in the game where very little is happening and then where a lot is happening. And when you're in the part where very little is happening, that's when you can it's almost the same as being paused, where you can still talk about strategy and not have to worry about accidentally making a mistake and losing the game on the spot.
Understood. And I guess when fall semester starts, how is everything to be remote? Is everything to be online, remote, virtual, or whatever? Or is there going to be some stuff in person, just socially distanced in terms of competitions or playing for fun or doing tournaments on campus?
Yeah, so right now the plan is to make sure that we keep pretty much everything will be online. We are hopeful that if it's allowed, we can run some small socially distanced events. Especially we have our esports room that in Friends Hall that has computers and consoles and stuff, and we could utilize that potentially. But it comes down to how safe it is and how the college feels. How the college feels it should go with events like that. But right now, we want to make sure that we have that people who are studying online, whether by choice or if they're in a state that can't come back to college, they have the option to play just as much as the people who are in person. So which is why we still want to primarily focus on online, and also because it's really easy to communicate through that and really easy to set up large scale events online as well.
Well, that's all I have for you both. So I just thank you both for taking the time to talk to me.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Yep. For ICTV Sports and WICB Sports, I'm Michael Memis.